Alright, in this video I want to continue on with what I was talking about in the previous video about a revelation of Daniel and the book of Revelation, and talk more about Daniel 7 and these beasts, because I think they are misrepresented. Now, a lot of times how they are depicted as the lion is Babylon, the bear is Medo-Persia, the leopard is Greece, and then this beast is Rome. Yet, in Daniel, when these beasts come up, at verse 17, it says, "These great beasts which are four kings which shall arise out of the earth." He says they shall arise, right? So if we are to take it from this point of view, where Daniel is actually at the time of the Medes and the Persians at this time. So if they shall arise, that means you could leave out Babylon and Medo-Persia as the beasts here. And the ones that are going to arise would be Greece, Rome, and then the other two we'll get into as we get there. So that would mean, when we look at these beasts, this is not Babylon. And as some people, they would put Medo-Persia. But this is actually Greece. And this, the bear, would be Rome. Then that means we have to figure out the leopard and this beast here. So that's what we're going to do here. That's what we're going to do. We're going to see how this fits, because we're going to take it from verse 17 that these are going to rise up. And we're already at the time where the Medes and Persians have taken over Babylon here. So I'm just double checking in my mind to make sure this timeline is correct. I'm pretty sure the Medes and Persians have already taken over Babylon by this vision. Just double checking in my head. I'm not going to go through. Somebody would correct me if I'm wrong on this. I'm pretty sure. So, because I know Daniel 8 is about the ram and the he-goat, and then it starts breaking down basically the end of the world. And it was right before this that the Medes and the Persians conquered. And we saw the writing on the wall, like Daniel 5 and 6 and stuff. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. So anyway, we're going to take it as the lion is Greece. Now, with this lion having wings, you could make sense that this is Greece in the sense that it was very quick and swift and powerful and majestic. They call him Alexander the Great, right? And the lion is supposed to be the king of the beasts. They don't call any of the others great, right? So, I think we're good with this. Now, the thing where he was made to stand up like a man and given the heart of a man and his wings plucked off, we can also apply that to Greece. You see, when Alexander the Great conquered all the way out to, I think, to Persia, it got to a point where two things happened. One was there wasn't really any other place to conquer, even though he wanted to keep going further. But where else was he going to go? And the other thing was his men were like, okay, enough. We just keep going and going. And they were conquering and going so fast. And they just were having enough, right? So he had to stop being this majestic lion. He had to stop and slow down and think about things. So his wings were plucked off. Had to make a man out of him, in a sense, right? And then he dies. It doesn't fit necessarily perfectly, but we can make a little bit of sense out of it. Now, after this, you could try to say, oh, what about the four kingdoms that rose up after the Grecian Empire broke down? You had the four generals. Well, ultimately, what we're focused on here through these visions from Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel is that these beasts are actually world empires in the sense that they either control the world or that they have the strongest might to influence the rest of the world. Those four empires that broke away from Greece did not have that influence. The next influence would be Rome, which we could throw into as the bear. Now, how would that fit? Well, it says the bear is lifted up on one side, and we have the Eastern Western Roman Empire as it breaks up, right? It still tries to stay together, but you have one side that's bigger and stronger as you have Catholicism form, which was larger than the other side, which was Orthodox. Now the three ribs, you can break that into possibly the major conquest of Rome. I'm not quite sure about that. It could be a representation of how it destroys people, and the ribs can actually potentially represent the nails, right? Because it devours flesh, and it really made a number on Jesus, right? And then it pierced him through with 3 nails. So you can see we could make something of that to show that this is Rome, right? Again, I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm not sure if any of these fit perfectly the way that we are describing them if we try to say that they're anything else. So after Rome, what was after Rome? Right? Who's after Rome? And I think it's weird that we actually ask that. Like, what time are we in right now? Who has dominion right now? Well, that's the United States of America, is it not? And in Daniel 7, it says about this beast that it's given dominion. I want to make sure I get the right place this time. Let's go to the leopard. And dominion was given to it here at verse 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So now we have to explain how that can represent America. Well, I can see it in multiple ways. Let's start with the wings. America flies all over the place. It has its military bases all over the place. 4 wings can also represent the use of helicopters, since it has the 4 blades of the helicopter, right? Also the swiftness and how quick America goes all over the place. Leopard, as in it's diverse. Like they talk about, it's made up of all 3 races that came from Noah. Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Japheth being the Caucasian race. You have the white belly of the leopard, and then it has basically, for the most part, yellow fur representing Shem, the Asiatic race, and then you have the black spots all over representing Ham, the African race. So it's diverse. That's America, right? That fits pretty well. And the 4 heads now. The 4 heads can actually apply in different ways. We can look at it as the 3 branches of government with the people, right? The 3 branches of government are supposed to serve the people. So that could be the 4 heads. You could also take it that the 4 heads are the divisions of the government and church within America, where you have, with the government, you have capitalism versus basically communism, right? And then religiously, you have Catholicism and Protestantism. So that could be the four speaking heads that have to do with this beast here, because it's diverse, remember? So it has to have representation for certain groups. You could also take it as it's the three original branches of government, where it had constitutional law, we're under common law, but now we're using Roman law now, and everybody's into contract with Roman law, and that's why things are not the way they ought to be, and that could be the fourth head. There's different ways you can take a look at this to see four different heads. But anyway, I see that this can really fit to be America. Because a lot of people say, well, where's America in prophecy? Like, there's nothing about America, this period of time where America rises up and has dominion, and there's nothing said about it. Well, I think it's right here, this diverse nation. Right? And then this last beast, what is this beast? This is the final beast. This is one that comes up out of the sea. The sea is the great multitude, as this beast is briefly described and is more detailed described in Revelation 13. And as you notice, I highlighted 42 months here and highlighted a time, times, and a dividing a time here, because this fourth beast is a completely different kingdom, diverse from all of them, and it says that it shall devour the whole earth and shred it down and break it in pieces. So it's going to go over the whole world, right? Very interesting there. But this beast main head is this undescribed creature, and it's usually depicted, as we see here, as some kind of reptile, and we depict it with Satan. But these other heads here all end up giving power to this beast, as here in Revelation it says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Revelation 17 tells us that the sea is a multitude of the people with different tongues and languages and what have you. It says, having 7 heads and 10 horns, upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. So we see that this is a mixture of all the beasts that we see in Daniel 7. And that's why it has 7 heads. We have 1, 2, plus the 4 is 6, and here is the 7th. And the main body of it is American and obviously diverse, as it's going over the whole world, right? And it has the feet of a bear. So its movement is actually not Russian, it's Roman, which ties into what I have here. This is NATO. As far as I know, this is updated to all the nations in NATO. And the United States is also part of the permanent members of the UN, right? And the United States will move through the United Nations and NATO when it goes to war, right? It has bases all through here, and through here it will go into the Middle East, into Asia, wherever, and do what it's going to do, right? So this is like its feet. And this is the main body of it, the United States. And it speaks as a lion. not sure how that would apply if we say that the lion is Greece, um, other than English is just a amalgamation of, I think, what do we got here? Latin, Grecian, German, and I think even Hebrew. It's like amalgamation of all kinds of different languages. But I can't say that is speaking through Greece. I'm not sure how the mouth, being the lion here, fits Greece. So this could be a hole in the boat, right? So that the boat sinks that I'm building here. But it also says that the teeth are iron. So this could mean that this Grecian empire is their teeth. And it's the speaking point, right? Because the United Nations and the UN, I think, are centered. I think the UN might be in New York, but NATO might be actually centered over here in Europe. And another thing that's interesting is that the original members, there's 10. You have Canada, United States, that's 2. Portugal is 3. France is 4. Italy is 5. Belgium is 6. Netherlands are 7. United Kingdom is 8. Denmark is 9. Norway is 10. Potentially the 10 horns. Not saying they are. They haven't received power as of yet. It's just interesting that when this NATO formed, it had 10 nations, right? Something interesting to think about here. So when it says it has the 7 heads, you'd have the heads of the United States, Greece, Rome, and this last beast from Daniel 7, this reptoid satanic beast here. This, I think, is when they all come together and we have this Antichrist, the embodiment of Satan upon the earth. That's why this has the 10 horns as the 10 toes in Daniel 7, Daniel chapter 2, where it's a mixture of iron and clay at the end with the 10 toes. It's an amalgamation. Iron and clay, partly strong, partly weak, but it all comes together. And that's what we see going on. And that's where America actually fits into Bible prophecy. Because I, for the longest time, didn't see it other than trying to say that it was this beast out of the earth. But now I see it as the leopard. This beast out of the earth, I think, has more to do with Israel, the 2 horns being Judah and Israel. The 10 tribes that are considered Israel, and then Judah and Benjamin and Levites, I guess, as the other. That's potentially what that can be, because it rises up like a lamb, and it's out of the land instead of the sea. So it comes up out of one area, not heavily populated. And it's a false prophet, and it's doing kind of miracles that Elijah would do, like calling fire down from heaven in the sight of the beast. So it's as if this is, Israel. Which would mean that the woman is actually the Vatican. And I had that up here right here to show that it's a kingdom since 1929, where the Pope is the king of Vatican City, Vatican State, and also the head of a religion. And the Vatican has already made Chrislam official. So we see a mixture going on there, all the religions coming together, because Catholicism was already a amalgamation of pagan Rome, Judaism, Christianity, and now it's officially mixing in Islam. So they're all absorbing into one, bringing this one world religion thing about. So I think that qualifies it as the harlot. And one of the reasons that I've been thinking about it that way is because I've been recently reading Esther. And Esther is a different point of view from what we see with Ruth. Because with Ruth, we have a Jewish man and a Gentile woman. Then there's a marriage between the two. But then when we come to Esther, we have a Gentile king and his bride won't show up, which is a Gentile bride. He casts the Gentile bride aside and ends up getting a Jewish bride. This seems more of coming to the tribulation period where the Gentiles are about to be cast off, Israel's about to be grafted back in. Because the time of the Gentiles are up, the Gentiles are rejecting the gospel. This is going to be done. They're going to be cast off, and Israel's going to be brought back in. And the woman that wouldn't show up would be the Gentile harlot bride, which I can see being the Vatican. And that city that rules over the world, Vatican City, sits on 7 hills and rules through Roman law that it has established throughout a good chunk of the world, and through Catholicism, which is spread also throughout the world, and now mixing with Islam. So that's going to change things up as well. So that seems how that all plays out there. Then again, you see holes in the boat here, point them out, show me how this can't be, or if you got things to add, how this makes sense, share that with me as well. I'm trying to put this together for the people who won't be raptured, so they have an idea of what's going on, and when they read the scriptures, they got something that they can look at the world and look at the scriptures, and they're able to start to put things together to realize what's going on, and hopefully build up their faith so that they can just give up their lives for the next world, that is. But anyway, that's about that. Thanks for watching. Take care.